Hello and welcome to the overall enchantment, gemming and profession guide. First of all, I'm gonna start with enchants that you can get on every single character. And let's start. So for your shoulder pads, you want to get Greater Crane Wing Inscription, which adds 200 intellect and 100 crit. For your back, you want to get Enchant Cloak Superior Intellect, which is 180 intellect. For your chest piece, you're going to be looking for Enchant Chest Glorious Stats, which is 80 to all stats. For your bracers, you're going to be looking for Enchant Bracers Superior Intellect, which adds 170 intellect. For your weapon, the best enchant is Jade Spear. It procs for a lot of intellect, but it's really expensive. So if you don't have enough lot of money, you can use a Windsong instead, which procs secondary stats like Crate and Haste and stuff like that. For offhand, you want to get Major Intellect, which adds 165 intellect. For your gloves, you can get 170 haste. For your leggings, you are going to get Greater Cruel and Spell Threat, which has 285 intellect and 165 crit. And for your boots, you're gonna get Pandaren Step, which adds 140 mastery and increases your movement speed. Alright, so ho, we're gonna start off with blacksmithing. Now, this profession can potentially be better than some of the rest, because you can get an extra gem slot in your gloves and in your wrists, your bracers. Professions are balanced in a way that each one of them should give you overall 320 intellect. Which with blacksmithing it's not really true, because if you have twice as much crit as you have intellect, it's better to have that crit, right? Intellect is better, but if you have twice as much crit, it's just better to get the crit. So if you gem 2 crit gems instead of the intellect gems, you're gonna come off way ahead. So blacksmithing actually pretty good for a balance rate. Engineering is kind of a weird one. It gives you Synapse Spring, which is a glove attachment, which will give you 1920 intellect for 10 seconds every 60 seconds, which averages for 320 intellect again. But since you can use it whenever you want, with some practice it can get much better, because you can use it with cooldowns and when you're entering a certain eclipse. So if you play with it a bit and get really good at using them, it's gonna be better than the other professions. Leatherworking, it gives you a different enchant to wrist. Instead of 180 intellect, so you have right here, it gives you 500, which again is 320 intellect bonus. Alchemy, mixology with your Flask of the Warm Sun that you're gonna be using, this one right here, it's gonna give you 320 intellect more. Again, the same amount of intellect. Enchanting, you can enchant both your rings with 160 intellect. Again, 320 in total. Tailoring, I think that tailoring is best. Why? The normal enchant you have on your back is 180 intellect. You will get a light weave embroidery instead, which will increase your intellect for 2000 for 15 seconds, and it has a 20% proc chance on any damage and 60-second internal cooldown. This will average around 500 intellect. Minus 180 that you would normally have is again 320. You will not have it every 60 seconds. There is some delay, but 2000 intellect is huge, and every time you pull a boss, this enchant is going to proc. So through most of your cooldowns or half your cooldowns, you will have 2000 more intellect, which will just result in huge spikes, you know, this insanely big bloodlust, and then it will proc. And the beautiful thing about it is that with boomkins are not just their rotation. It's like, oh my god, everything proc, I need to do something else than just, you know, pull off my rotation again and again and again and again. If you know how to use this intellect, and maybe even combine with synapse springs from engineering, you're gonna see some huge numbers during those procs, and that's what we want. That's how we work. We just get those procs and we use them as much as we can. So intellect, I feel, is one of the strongest combined with engineering. Jewel crafting gives you different gems. Instead of the 160 gems, 160 intellect gems, you're gonna get 320 gems. And again, you're gonna have 320 intellect more. So, same thing. Secondary professions are significantly weaker, so I'm just not even gonna cover them. But if you want to do something easy, you can get enchanting and tailoring. That's probably the easiest thing you can do. That's what I did while I was leveling. But then I just switched to engineering because I feel it's much better. And you get rocket boots, right? They're cool. And a glider. Oh yeah. It's fun to have engineering, man. It's really fun. Gemming. Oh god, gemming. I was afraid to do this, and I'm still not quite sure how to explain this because it's very fiddly. But in general, the first thing you want to look at is, with all my gear I currently have, and with all the reforging I did, with all the enchanting I did, do I have enough hit? If not, just gem for spirit. Until you get 15% hit. Just straight up 320 spirit gems. If you don't have enough hit, and you can't get it through like blue sockets with like 160 spirit and 160 haste or crit, just 320 spirit everywhere you can until you get that hit up to 15%. There are a few variations of gems that you're going to be working with. First of them is 80 intellect and 160 haste. Second is 80 intellect and 160 crit, 320 crit, 320 haste, 160 spirit, 160 critical strike, 160 spirit, 160 haste, and 320 spirit. That's what I use. I don't gem for intellect, and it works out for me pretty well. It's pretty good. I'm fairly happy with this. Now the thing is, if you can get the second haste breakpoint without sacrificing too much crit, you gotta be gemming for haste. I don't want to do that because when I try to get to the second haste breakpoint, I have to sacrifice a lot of crit. Right now you can see I have 30% crit in DOOMKIN, which doesn't affect you at all, and with Mark of the Wild 30.97%. In a raid, I'm fairly high. I am nearing the 40% crit chance mark, and it's kind of difficult. You need to learn more about the DOOMKIN. If you just started a DOOMKIN and you want to gem, in general, get 15% hit, then 5,300 haste, and after that, if you have that, you can crit. You can just gem for crit all the time. Look at me, for instance. 320 crit, 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 crit. Intellect and crit, crit. Spirit and crit. Intellect and haste, actually. Because I was like, hey, I need a little bit of haste. So I'm just gonna put it in the gem. Why not? You know? Simple as that. Crit, crit, crit. Crit, spirit, crit. And crit, crit. Why am I not filling the socket bonuses? If you look at this, it has to make sense for you. If it doesn't make sense, then you're gonna do it wrong. That's what I'm trying to teach you. I'm trying to teach you, like, why am I doing this? Not just, hey, do this, that, and that. No, I'm doing this because of this. That's how it works. That's how people learn. So, I'm not filling the socket bonus because I have enough haste. Correct? This is a blue gem. So to get 60 haste from this, I would have to use some variation of a blue gem, which would cut the crit in half, and that's bad. I don't want to do that. right? I don't want to cut my crit in half for 60 haste. That's stupid. That just doesn't make any sense for me. With this, I don't need any spirit, so I would rather have twice as much crit as I have intellect, right? These little things that you will learn along the way. But in general, if you're really not sure, just go and look up a site like Elitious Jerks, or even Noxic, even though Noxic sometimes has some really weird stuff. But I would definitely recommend Elitious Jerks. But they will tell you the same thing, right? You can use these sort of gems, but you need to understand why you should use this gem instead of that gem. You just need to learn it. And it's something that's really difficult to explain, especially for someone that can't speak English very good. So I hope at least something I've said was helpful with the gemming guide, but I was really afraid to do this. So that's this video. I thank you a lot for watching. I hope you learned something. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to teach you something. And I will see you in another video. It's probably going to be Garbage Sunday. Goodbye.